Hola everyone, JB Thrills here, back with another video. Today, we're talking about very big news regarding Six Flags Over Texas. And yeah, I know you heard that before, but it really is big news. Basically, if you haven't been going to the park lately, or you haven't been keeping up with the news about Over Texas, lots of new upgrades have been taking place inside the park. These upgrades range from new benches, to portable battery vending machines, runway mountain upgrades. But there's been some recent upgrades that are way bigger in scale, which is the removal of the facade for Looney Tunes Mall and the repainting of Pandemonium. Basically, the old Looney Tunes Mall is getting completely remodeled, and Pandemonium is turning pink. The question is, why? Is Pandemonium getting a retheme, and what will replace the classic facade of Looney Tunes Mall? So in today's video, I'll be breaking out exactly that and placing my prediction on what's going on with the park, as well as introducing a new theory about Six Flags Over Texas' future. Before I start the video though, I would like to say, if you like my content and videos, be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell to know when new videos come out of my channel. At the time that I'm making this video, I'm very close to 2,000 subscribers. And maybe by the time that this video uploads, I'll already be at 2,000 subscribers. But the point is, it's absolutely insane. And really, thank you so much. Special shoutouts to those who have previously been subscribed to my channel. And if you're new here and you like my content and videos, don't be afraid to press the red button down below. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into today's video. These past few weeks have been very busy weeks for Six Flags Over Texas. I mean, it was their 60th anniversary, then Ron McKenzie dropped the announcement of 2 new attractions for Over Texas in 2022, which one of them is the comeback of the Speedunkers, which I predicted by the way. But the point is, if this doesn't show that Ron McKenzie cares about Over Texas, I don't know what does. So great job, and thank you for being an amazing park president. But yeah, it doesn't stop here. Now we have this, the complete deconstruction of the facade of Looney Tunes Mall, and the entire repainting of Pandemonium. And while construction seems normal, the reason why these two are very important is because they have some minor plot holes. And by plot holes, I mean purposes. Like, why are they painting Pandemonium pink? And what's going to be the replacement for the original facade of Looney Tunes Mall? Luckily, I did some investigating like I always do, and I think I can answer these questions, as well as predict them. Plus, I think I have a brand new theory that could predict the next upgrades coming to the park, and what's coming in the near future of Over Texas. So why don't we start off with Looney Tunes Mall? I mean, it's the most obvious, and it really has people scratching their heads on what's going to replace the original facade. So if you didn't know, Looney Tunes Mall is this giant mega souvenir store out over Texas. It's located right in front of Bugs Bunny Boomtown, and the most iconic thing is the giant facade in front of it. It's this huge picture of all the Looney Tunes characters. Then, as you head over to Justice League Battle for Metropolis, the other side of the store is the Justice League side, and you usually have this giant picture with the Justice League on it. Well, these past weeks, it's been slowly getting torn down, and now it's entirely gone. So what's going on exactly? Is it just a repaint or something completely different? Well, honestly, I don't think it's a repaint. In fact, I think it's the beginning of a retheme. Hear me out, if they were just gonna repaint it and replace it with the same picture just looking more new, they would have not torn down the entire facade, and it doesn't help that the facade is completely in the trash. Now while we got that covered, some are gonna argue that they're just gonna tear down the entire facade and replace it with another Looney Tunes themed facade. But no, that's wrong as well. You see, I studied some architecture and I found out that facades don't have to stay flat entirely. I mean, yeah, they're temporary, but you can turn a 2D facade into something 3D. Basically, it's like when you're building a Lego set and you decide to spread out the build. So you attach the Lego pieces sideways so it can stand out to the left or right. That's pretty much what's happening here. Because what I find weird is that they left metal frames. And it could be because they're replacing it with a new poster. But maybe the entire outside portion of the Looney Tunes Mall will be completely redone. I mean, it's not entirely impossible. If you look at the footage you see on screen, you can actually see how big Looney Tunes Mall actually is. And it's really just a small building. The extra portions on the outside profile of the building can be adjusted in any way and make the building look bigger than it actually is. Or make it have a completely different theme. It all depends on what the park president wants or what they want to build. So hear me out. What if the Looney Tunes Mall will be completely changed into something more Over Texas? I mean, we already know Ron McKenzie loves his park history, and he also really loves the legacy of Six Flags Over Texas. Now, one thing I found really weird about Six Flags Over Texas is that they don't have specific stores only for Over Texas. I mean, they have Mercado de la Plaza, but it's not an official Over Texas store. It's just a store in the Mexico area of the park. Then we have the Trading Post, again, not specific to Over Texas, and the other shops are just gift shops from coasters. or just regular standard gift shops. But there's not one store in the park specifically dedicated to Over Texas. And Looney Tunes Mall does not count because it sells Looney Tunes and DC stuff, not specifically Over Texas. And yeah, they sell Over Texas merch, but do they really? So what if this entire remodel of Looney Tunes Mall is making way for a brand new merch store specifically designed for Over Texas? A perfect example of a store like this is the marketplace at Knott's Berry Farm. They have a store specifically for Knott's Berry Farm stuff, and they sell all kinds of stuff, but they're all related specifically to Knott's Berry Farm, like shirts that say the name, pants, references to past attractions and history of the park, and everything to do with the park. What if Over Texas does the same idea? And now we have a store that can sell merch like shirts and pants that sell Over Texas stuff, but also stuff that can refer to the past of Over Texas, similar to some of the merch we saw at the Over Texas Museum. Maybe they made that museum as a test, and because people really liked it, maybe we can have an official store for Over Texas stuff. And who knows, maybe they can add a museum that's permanent in there. Just saying. But imagine, you go into this brand new Over Texas shop, and you can buy a plushie of Cyrus Cosmo, the original mascot of Over Texas, or buy some magnets that say the Big Bend, or buy a mini model of Texas Shootout, stuff like that. Honestly, that would be an amazing idea, and if Over Texas did this, it would be genius. It'll probably be one of the most popular merch stores in the park, and it's a great way to relive the legacy of Over Texas, and isn't that what Ron McKenzie wants? So I think whether it's now with Looney Tunes Mall, or in the future, Six Flags Over Texas will get a legacy store, and it'll hold lots of items that will refer to the amazing history of Over Texas. And to those saying that it'll be a bad idea removing the Looney Tunes Mall, remember, before Looney Tunes, there was no Looney Tunes Mall, just restaurants. Plus, there's already a Looney Tunes Land, you don't need to add more to it. So I'd say it's a better idea to add a legacy store in Looney Tunes Mall. Or, just completely destroy it and make room for a new attraction. But I would much rather prefer an upgraded merch store. It's always the little details that make a theme park even better. And if you saw my Knott's vs Magic Mountain video, you'll see why merch is very important in a theme park. So if Over Texas can get a brand new merch store with lots of brand new merch that's amazing, the park will get better overall. And it'll just continue to get better and better as the years progress. We don't always need a new attraction, because as long as my home park gets better, I would be happy. But speaking of attractions, what's going on with Pandemonium? Is it a retheme or repaint? Let's explore that next. So about a few weeks ago, people noticed that Pandemonium started to look a little bit different. The end helix before the ride comes to a stop had a segment of track that was painted bright pink. Now obviously this is normal, because usually when that happens that means they're testing paint. And everyone was of course excited because they wanted to see Pandemonium get repainted. I mean, the original paint looked all rustic. But then, progress started very quickly. And now, about 50% of the attraction is already painted pink, as well as the supports getting a brand new color, like a darkish purple. Obviously, this has everyone very confused, because this could signify two things. One, the ride is just gonna get repainted and upgraded, or two, Pandemonium will have a brand new theme. And I'm leaning more on the new theme idea. I mean, coasters getting a new theme isn't surprising. Pandemonium itself originally had the theme of Tony Hawk's Big Spin, then it got rethemed to Big Spin, before finally getting rethemed again to Pandemonium. It's normal, but this one is a little bit unique because the color choice is something we've never seen before. I mean, pink and dark purple for Pandemonium? I mean, its logo is red, so the only options to me is either they make a new logo for Pandemonium, or of course, it's a theme change. I mean, the logo should match the color scheme of the ride. But what's the theme? I mean, how can you name a coaster that's pink and purple? Well, with some investigation, I think I know what the retheme is. And some of y'all won't like this. I think the retheme could be a DC theme. Yes, I know, classic Six Flags theming a ride to a DC superhero or villain. But hear me out. In the previous spot of Aquaman Splashdown, we now have Aquaman Power Wave. And right across from it is Justice League Battle for Metropolis. So what's next? Another DC themed attraction? No, we got Twixt the Ride, aka Pandemonium. See the problem here? This coaster does not fit in this area at all. And yes, I know that Justice League Battle for Metropolis and Aquaman Power Wave is not in a DC themed area. Officially. I mean, at the moment, the DC themed area is in Gotham City. And yeah, the layout is bad, because we have a DC themed area and then Boomtown is next, with yet another DC themed area and then a DC themed ride by itself in the tower section. Confusing, right? Luckily, there's a way to fix this problem. Retheme Pandemonium. If they theme Pandemonium to a DC themed attraction, the area will fit in way better. And while sure, Boomtown is up next still, it'll just flow better than just Pandemonium sticking out. And I think Ron McKenzie knows this. Why? During the 60th anniversary announcement, Ron McKenzie talked about the upgrades coming to Aquaman Power Wave. And one of the upgrades next to the turntable was of course a huge theming upgrade. and according to him, they went all out for it, and have been planning it for a very long time now. But the weird thing is, he didn't say Aquaman's theming, he just said theming upgrades. Though everyone just assumed that he was talking about Aquaman Power Wave, which he was, but it wasn't just Aquaman Power Wave. What other ride is next to Aquaman Power Wave? Pandemonium. And of course, it would take a while to plan what paint they'll use for Pandemonium, and what theme should replace the coaster. So what if Ron McKenzie was already planning to retheme Pandemonium to begin with? And don't forget, the Pandemonium upgrade started almost 2 days after the announcement. Coincidence? I think not. So if Pandemonium is getting a retheme, what will it be? Is there a DC IP that could fit in with the pink track and dark purple supports? Yes there is. In fact, there's many. So here's some ideas on what I think the retheme of Pandemonium could be. Starting off, my initial thought was Lex Luthor. We all know Lex Luthor's color scheme is green, pink, and dark purple. Though we don't see green now, there's a high possibility the trains will be painted a different color too, most likely green. Because there's no way they're gonna continue having this Twix theme on the trains, and allow the red and yellow to clash with the pink tracks and dark purple supports. It just won't look good. So Lex Luthor is definitely a good candidate, and it would fit in with Aquaman Power Wave and Justice League Battle for Metropolis. As for the name prediction, I'm thinking Lex Luthor Velocitron, or maybe Lex Luthor Full Force. Both of those are really cool sounding names, and Velocitron would be a nod to the original Lex Luthor Invertertron at Six Flags New Orleans. Though here, I couldn't call it Invertertron because this coaster does not invert. Now the next possible option, that's a DC IP and fits in with this color scheme for the tracks, is of course Two-Face. Two-Face is a really unique Batman villain, and I really wish he had an attraction. Sure, he had a ride, but it's now defunct. Plus, Two-Face fits surprisingly well with a spin coaster. Then we have the color scheme of the track, pink and dark purple. The color scheme of Two-Face is purple and orange. They could end up painting the trains like the way that the Twix trains are now, but instead of red and yellow, it could be purple and orange. And of course, it would fit in well. As for the name predictions, I'm thinking Two-Face Twister, or Two-Face Twist of Fate, because you know, he always has that coin that can decide your fate. Overall, this would be a pretty nice theme, and I would really enjoy it a lot. Though we still have 2 more options. Our next option is Black Manta. Now while sure, pink and purple don't really fit his suit style, the color could actually make sense because it makes it look more villainous. And who's the villain of Aquaman? Black Manta. The trains could have a nice Atlantean design with a black and red color scheme, and it makes sense to have Aquaman's villain right next to him. But for the name, I'm kind of puzzled with it. Maybe something like Black Manta Typhoon Twister, or Black Manta's Revenge, something like that. And for the last theme option, we have DC Supervillains. The reason why I say this is because I've noticed a trend in the Six Flags chain, and 99% of the time, when they re-theme an attraction, it's always something DC Supervillains. An example of this is Willa Giga Fest Texas, which got re-themed to DC Supervillain Swing whenever Joker Carnival of Chaos was announced. The ride is now themed to all of the DC villains, and every area you sit is a different theme for a different villain. So maybe they do the same for Pandemonium, but instead call it DC Supervillain Spin, and every train has a different decal of a villain on it. And of course, the classic queue line that has all the villains and showing their strengths and weaknesses and their history and stuff like that. Though I really wish it wasn't this one. My top picks for Pandemonium retheme is definitely Two-Face and definitely Lex Luthor. Also, Black Manta will definitely make sense as well. They just need a good name for it. So at the moment, Pandemonium isn't completely painted yet, though I have a feeling it'll be finished painting soon. And maybe by then, we can get more clues about what the retheme in Pandemonium is, if it's a retheme. Because again, this is speculation and I could be overthinking it, but you never know. Now what about my upgrade theory? What is that, you may ask? Well, essentially, it's this new theory that I got, judging by all this new construction and upgrades going on in the park. I mean, Over Texas really is changing. So my theory is that Six Flags Over Texas will revert to one of the most iconic Six Flags parks in the chain, regularly getting upgrades all over the park, and getting things never before seen in the Six Flags chain, making Over Texas stand out from the rest of the parks, which could lead to future bigger additions, and allowing Over Texas to slowly become one of the best Six Flags parks, eventually possibly beating Fiesta Texas. I mean, with more people wanting to move to Texas, I see why Over Texas is getting these upgrades. So who knows, maybe Over Texas can become a thrill capital. Though, it'll keep the same charm it had from the beginning, and continue to stand out from the rest of the Six Flags chain, almost like Knott's Berry Farm and Cedar Fair, but maybe even better. And this is all thanks to Ron McKenzie, who promised to relive the legacy of Over Texas, and he's doing that exactly. So again, he's a very good park president, and he deserves lots of credit. And I can't wait to see what the future unfolds for Over Texas. Anyways, what do you think? Are these upgrades for Over Texas amazing? Is the park getting better than before? And do you think Pandemonium is getting a retheme? comment down below. Anyways, thank you for watching. This is JB Thrills signing out.